Sorry. It's on now.
Okay. Well, at any rate, folks, tell your friends that that about 2/3 of it will be on and recorded, so people can get the general idea. Okay, so now you know the youngest.
Excuse me, can you find a way to retell some part of those fabulous stories that made me clap my hands so it would be recorded? I'm so glad you asked. Thank you.
What? I don't understand. You mean you want me to go back and do from the beginning?
A little bit. The things that you love the most are probably the ones that I'm talking about.
Well, we'll see after, and how time is, Ilsa, because
okay.
I
Thank
do
you
want
for
to
listening.
Of course I listen, yeah. So at any rate, now that you know, so at any rate, let's take a look at this. So you see, it's the guy with the cursor. This guy is second youngest. Incidentally, third youngest is Bill Clinton. Fifth youngest is Barack Obama. And you wouldn't guess the fourth youngest if I just said, okay, rank these by age. This guy, who's fourth youngest, would be down near the bottom. Ulysses Grant. Ulysses Grant.
Oh, boy.
Well, who looked old. He was only, gosh, something like 36 when he became head of the Union Army. And he was 45 and some months, the fourth youngest when he took office, after Lincoln and then Andrew Johnson. But he smoked 10 cigars a day. At least people sent him cigars like crazy. They knew he liked them. But of course, it made him look older, and he actually died of throat cancer. At the end, he could sleep only on his back because of the pain. So, while I have Teddy up there, I want to give you the origin of the teddy bear. Teddy Roosevelt was an incredibly innovative guy, president, first to fly in an airplane, first Nobel Prize winner, first to leave the country during his presidency. He went to Panama, all the trust busting stuff, really a very energetic president. One other thing is he was the first to invite an African-American family to the White House in 1902. So you see pretty early in that term of his. And it was the family of Booker T. Washington. And this had some negative pushback from Southerners. And again, we're talking 1902, so well more than a century ago. So to mend some political fences, TR went down to Louisiana, Smedes, S-M-E-D-E-S, Mississippi, to mend political fences and ostensibly to settle a border dispute between Mississippi and Louisiana. While he was there, his host said, well, would you like to go out hunting? And in those days, my friends, everybody hunted, every man at least out there, shooting big game. The buffalo, really bison, but we call them buffalo, so that's what it is here. The buffalo was the largest mammalian herd in the world until both the native, but particularly the Native Americans, but particularly the invaders or whatever you want to call it, started just shooting like crazy and almost to the point of extinction. So he said, sure, I'll go out and hunt. And his host rather, captured a little bear cub, and the guide roped it to a tree. They put a gun in the president's hand and they said, shoot the bear, shoot the bear. Of course, our sensibilities are very different now. He turned away and said, if I did that, I couldn't look my four sons in the eye. And 2 days later, this is mid-November 1902, out came this cartoon by, although you can't read the signature, Clifford Berryman. That's bottom right. I'll point to it, okay? Because apparently, and here's the guide. Here's the bear, cute little face. Here's Teddy with his anatomically left arm saying, no, I won't do it. And here's the caption drawing the line in Mississippi. ostensibly the geographical topological line, also the race line, given the pushback from the Booker T. Washington. You know, Booker T. was the founder of Tuskegee University and an advisor to 3 presidents and a distinguished conservative politician. He was on the other side from William Edward Burghardt Du Bois, the liberal, progressive African-American leader. And by the way, in the February issue next year, I'll be celebrating Black History Month with as much as I can cram in there, because I've done a lot of work in that area. So there it was, and there it is. What happened was that now, and Ilse, I think a story that you'll enjoy, the camera switches to the wilds of Brooklyn, New York. And in Brooklyn, there's a Russian immigrant couple named Rose and Morris Michtom, M-I-C-H-T-O-M, Russian, rhymes with victim. And they ran, in the early part of the century, a variety store with novelties, all sorts of tchotchkes, gewgaws, drinks, refreshments, toys, etc., and stuffed animals. They wrote to the president, "Dear Mr. President, we'd like to manufacture a stuffed bear and name it after you, Teddy's bear." You heard that little "z," that's the genitive possessive apostrophe S, Teddy's bear. Could we have your permission? Roosevelt writes back to them, "I don't know what my name will do for the bear business, but sure, go ahead." Well, so he acceded. They came out with this product, and boy, did it do a lot for the bear business. Sellout after sellout. They had to hire in extra seamstresses for Teddy's bear. It led to the founding of the Ideal Toy Corporation, which lasted about a century. Everybody wanted Teddy's bear. Theodore used it for his election campaign in 1904. Remember, he wasn't elected in 1902. He wasn't elected because he just succeeded because of the assassination, because of the death of William McKinley. And in 1906, Teddy's bear with the apostrophe S became ensconced, enshrined in the dictionary, and stayed there until, and then was changed, but has been there ever since, teddy bear. So that's the story there. Okay, now that you know our youngest president, who is our oldest president? And this is another nice one, bar bet. And well, you could become rich people. Who is our oldest president? Now, there are 2 ways to do that. So the first way, to tiptoe into the more interesting, who is our oldest president in terms of length of years? Meaning who lived the longest, as the Bible says, full of years. Who is the longest lived? And notice that's a long I, not lived. It's from life, not lived. So anybody, our longest lived the greatest number of years? Anybody want to try? Besides Patrick.
What's the second?
Jimmy Carter?
I think it, yeah.
Who said Jimmy Carter? Okay. Wait a minute. That Lynn Horn?
Lynn, yes.
Okay. Well, androgynous first name. Good for you. Okay. Anybody else? The answer is Jimmy Carter. So let's take a look. Oops, sorry. I messed that up. A lot of people would say Reagan or Ford. Reagan lived to 93 and 4 months. Before that, the longest lived president was John Adams at 90 and 8 months. For 175 years, a man born in 1735, and imagine, you know, the lack of medicine and pills and drugs and all of that. Almost 2 centuries was our longest lived president. Then he was superseded by Ronald Wilson Reagan. And within a few years, Reagan was superseded by Gerald Rudolph Ford by a month and a half. But then they were superseded by George H.W. Bush born in 1925, but he was slightly older than Carter. But then indeed, when H.W. died, Carter is by far the longest living ex-president, 35 years or something like that, maybe almost 40, and our longest live president.
40, yeah.
Now, why we are talking about long-lived presidents, here's my question. Can anybody in this group, and you can put up the hands, name 5 presidents of the US of A who are not buried in or on, I'm thinking of Grant's tomb, American soil, 5 chief executives of the United States who are not buried in the United States? Who wants to put your hand up before? Okay, I love this. And this is, you're going to love this because this is, well, this is Mensa insanity, or shall we say the Moebius strip, the kind of thinking outside the box. And if anybody wants to know why we say that, I happen to do that kind of thing. You know, when you do something for years and years, and as I said, I'm 82, and you have blown up the distance between who you are and what you do, you see it all. It's all a pattern, so it helps you to remember everything within, you know, the subject. Here are 5 men who became president and are not buried in or on American soil. Jimmy Carter, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and I think I got this right. Well, not George H.W. Bush, he is buried, and Donald J. Trump. You agree? Are they presidents, or have they been presidents in the United States? Yes. Are they buried in American soil? No. Hey, is this worth, if nothing else, this whole performance? You're going to really get a lot of folks who will be the big hit of the next Mensa party.
It's a good one.
Incidentally, by the way, in that cartoon, Clifford Berryman never earned or asked for a cent from the use of his image of the bear. He said, "I have made thousands of children happy. That is enough for me." Okay.
And I always thought it was something to do with conservation, because that's what he was known for, the national parks and conservation and everything. So I figured that teddy bear was something to do with that. But,
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's a grisly mistake. I'm sorry. And boy, with this new drilling up, you're probably reading on the coast of Alaska, I think we're going to end up with a lot of bipolar bears myself. Yes, Len lives by the mantra, be sincere even if you have to fake it. Thank you for the laughter. Okay. I think the next thing, I hope, is who is our tallest, who is our shortest, and who is our most, shall we say, corpulent president. So 3 different guys. Tallest is easy, shortest is quite difficult, and fattest is sort of in between. Our tallest.
Lincoln.
Okay, and I'll show you slides soon. Our shortest, very difficult. And of course, that could change one day with a woman president, one day. But this guy was so short that there are not a lot of women who are shorter. There are some.
Was he in a duel?
No. You're thinking of Alexander Hamilton. No. And who is our fattest? Anybody?
Taft, maybe?
William Howard Taft.
Cleveland. Or
Yes.
Taft. Yeah.
So let's take a look, and gosh, I hope I got the right thing. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Damn it. I messed up. Take a look at our oldest president. It's this guy. So what happened is, doesn't matter. Ronald Reagan entered office before him. It was William Henry Harrison, 68 and something. And then he was superseded by Ronald Reagan, 69 and 11 months and 2 weeks, and more remarkably, was in office till 8 years later on the cusp of 78. Before him, Ronald Reagan, okay, before him, the only president who was 70 in office was Dwight Eisenhower, and that was the last 10 months of his second term. But now Reagan has been superseded by our current president, Donald John Trump, who in June of 2016 turned 70 and was 70 and 5 months when he came in office in January. And of course, as we know, should Joe Biden win the presidency and enter office in 2021, he will be a couple of years older. And that's the point about modern medicine. And that is, it's really modern, and especially when it comes to longevity. It really is. So, and we just see the vigor in these men and women when that comes to be, but longevity. And I'm 82, my artist is 91 in those books. And, you know, you can just see his ability and energy and all of that. So at any rate, there we go. So Lincoln at 6'4", and let me just see here. If I could, I want to find out. I want to just find this note on Lincoln. Take me just a few hours and I'll find it. Yeah, there it is. Okay, 6'4", and as I said, in a time when the average Civil War general was 5'6". And yeah, boy, could they write then. A reporter for the New York Herald described Abraham Lincoln thusly, quote, "Lincoln is the leanest, lankiest, most ungainly mass of legs, arms, and hatchet face ever strung upon a single frame. He has most unwarrantably abused the privilege which all politicians have of being ugly." Isn't that marvelous? I'm happy to send you any of this. She said, gee, I want that on this or that. Although all of it pretty much is in my book, which I'll show you the cover of at the end. If you want a signed copy of that, I'll tell you how to do that, but it's same email address and URL. The shortest was James Madison, as you can see there, 5'4". Washington Irving, probably our first professional American author, Ichabod Crane and all of that, described them as a withered little Applejohn. But he may have had, although we have to extrapolate back, the highest IQ of all presidents, and maybe the only president who weighed less than his IQ. He weighed 100 pounds and 5'4".
Jeez.
But he did attract and marry the estimable Dolly Madison, who didn't only make ice cream, if you happen to like that stuff, but was the queen of the May for decades in the Washington social circle, wore exotic turbans and shawls and gowns and swags, and just apparently very, very vital. And our fattest was indeed this gentleman. And that is, this is William Howard Taft. And he has a number of interesting things. And Len, I just want to be helpful. When you say something's going to be on, when must I stop? And I will stop then.
You don't have to at all. People can drop off whenever they want.
Well, all right. All right. That's good. Yeah, because I actually...
We usually do 60 minutes, but we started 10 minutes late, so, you know.
Yeah. So we're actually, we're not even in an hour yet. We're about 45 minutes as I see. So at any rate, so this gentleman, 6 feet, 300 to 340 pounds during his presidency, but a graceful dancer and tennis player. He dropped 80 pounds after and kept it off. I'd like to know how. So what happened is that he was the handpicked successor of Theodore Roosevelt. Roosevelt could have run for another term, but he went by the Washington precedent of 2 terms because he essentially served 2 terms. His first term was almost a full term in the wake of the assassination of McKinley. But when he left office, he was 50 years old. The average age of an entering president is 54. So he got the itch and felt that Taft was inactive, ineffective. And my gosh, for the election of 1912, he went back in to run for president. And he tried to wrest the Republican nomination from Taft, but he didn't. He couldn't. So he ran, as many of you know, for the Bull Moose Party. You know, our convictions and our candidates are strong as a bull moose. He split the Republican Party, of course. You have an incumbent president against one of the most popular presidents in history, against Woodrow Wilson. And the election results came in, 48% for Wilson, 28% for Roosevelt, the best by far showing of a third-party candidate, and 22% for William Howard Taft as the incumbent became recumbent. But always good-natured, Taft said, I have just been elected ex-president by the largest vote in history, and it was true. But here's something else about this guy. In 1920, he was appointed Chief Justice of the Supreme Court by Warren Gamaliel Harding, and became the only man to head up two of the 3 branches of government, the executive and the judicial. And you can't head up the legislative, you know, because of the Senate and the House. So of all the possible ones, he had them. And he actually swore in Coolidge and Hoover. So an interesting guy in many, many ways. He also converted the stables in the White House to garages and put automobiles in there. And guess what? And we're talking about very early 20th century. They were electric. Electric cars in 1912 or, 1908 or 1909, electric cars.
If you want to see what one of those looks like, punch up the Jay Leno clip.
Yes.
Online, you'll see it.
Yes, because Jay is very big in the cars.
He's got an electric car.
Okay, well, I'm going to move toward a conclusion, not quite, and I'm happy to stay. Whether you want to talk about what it's like being a Mensan or anything like that. I will mention that during my presidency here, Lorraine Bakerink, our chair, served with distinction in her first engagement with us as development officer, and we all know how all of that has turned out. And she, very, very good friends with my wife, and it's just great to see. So I'm just want to go now, continue to the chart, okay? Actually, that one is, has any president of the United States not been born in the US? And the answer is yes, and it's not Barack Obama. 8 of our first 9 presidents fit that category, because they were born in the British colonies, in the American colonies, and they were British citizens. Washington, number 1, and William Henry Harrison, number 9. If you were born after 1776, and that would be number 8, Martin Van Buren, then you were born a citizen, but otherwise not. And there was no provision, of course. I mean, here's Washington, 1732, and Adams, 1735. Well, they're not citizens. It was not a requirement then. So that's a good bar bet too. So, okay, so let's take a look here. And I want to point out a couple of things. What pattern would show that Donald Trump would be reelected for a second term. Let me show you a very promising pattern. Can somebody phone up Lynn Horn and ask him? I haven't seen him now for about 20 minutes, I hope, and his lovely wife. I hope they'll come back. Okay, so what I want you to do now, it's going to be very useful here. Can you see the cursor? Len, I have it on William McKinney.
Yes.
The rest of you? Except for me,
number 25, everybody.
25.
Yeah, Ilsa maybe not because she's doing it on the phone. So Ilsa, I'll try to do a little narrative that'll help you there. All right.
You're wonderful. I just am kicked back and listening.
Good. Well, that's kind of what I do, you know. And you're wonderful to be enjoying this, believe me. So here we go. For more than 120 years, so in fact, 123, well beyond a century, the party in power, P-A-R-T-Y, sometimes it's the man, and that's really shown with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 4 terms, although he didn't get to serve much of the 4th. But the party in power stays in power for a second or more term. Okay? Am I clear? The party in power is not easy to dislodge and stays in power for a second or more term.
That's because of the pulpit that they have in the megaphone.
The bully pulpit. And let's take a look. William McKinley gets into a second term, succeeded by Roosevelt, succeeded by Taft. So do the math and you get, let me just see here, sorry. 1, 2, 2, 3. That is 4 terms, I think, by Republicans. These are 4 Republicans. Only because Teddy Roosevelt went back into the fray and split the Republican Party, we get 1 Democrat in 36 years. And the Democrat is Woodrow Wilson for 8 years. Then Harding to Coolidge to Hoover, notice that's 12 years, or obviously 3 terms of Republicans, right? See that there, 12, 21 to 33. Different guys, but I said it was the party. Then Roosevelt to Truman sets the record of 5 terms of Democrats. 5 times 4 is 20, 33 to 53. 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, but we have to combine them, Kennedy and Johnson, 8 years, right? 2 terms. Nixon and Ford, again, 8, see, 2 terms. Carter, 1 term and succeeded by a Republican. So here is the exception. Oh, shit. Damn it. Uh-oh. Trouble, because I just hit that and I've lost my arrows. What do I do, Len, to get this?
Go to your keyboard and hit the left arrow.
Oh, you're right. You got it. Okay, that of course. Retest. Okay, so Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter succeeded with 3 terms of Republicans. So Carter is a 1-term Democrat preceded by Republicans and succeeded. He is the only exception. And then you would say, well, wait a minute, George H.W. Bush, only 1 term. Yeah, but it's 3 Republican terms because he's succeeding a 2-term Republican, Ronald Reagan. Then 2, 2, 2, and then 1 or 2. What that says is Donald Trump, that is such a strong historical pattern. You might say, well, we've really got different times now and very strong partisanship on both sides, so we'll see. However, here's a smaller pattern that might push it the other way, or maybe patterns don't count these days. 7 of our first 10 presidents were Virginians. It's called the state is the birthplace of presidents. From #1 Washington to #10 John Tyler. And interestingly, William Henry Harrison and John Tyler were from Tyler was his vice president, and the Harrison, you may know, see only a single year, 31 days in office, caught pneumonia at his inauguration, and that was it. He lived only a month more. He was our oldest president at that point, but died, barely in office. So those two from the same county in Virginia, imagine a president and vice president.
So Tyler was not elected president.
That is correct. Well, and many others.
And he served almost 4 years.
That's right. Yeah, well, yeah, because he was known as His Excellency. So I'll tell you a little bit more about Tyler.
It's a wonder that the founding fathers didn't write something in there that said, if the guy dies in office, then you have to call an election within 1 year or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's happened a number of times, and of course, Harry Truman is one example, but a number of others. I'm just looking.
Well, Roosevelt died in office.
Yes, that's why I said Truman, but also Chester Arthur. And incidentally, on that, Len Crick, we had a president that was never elected to national office. Those guys at least were elected as vice president. But we have had a president that we all know here who never held national office until he became president. His name is Gerald Ford.
Yeah.
He's our only president.
Speaker of the House or whatever, right?
That is correct, but which is not an elected national office. And before that, he was a congressman from Western Michigan.
Yeah.
But then when Agnew resigned, Nixon chose him as vice president. Then Nixon resigned as president. So, and he himself said, he said, look, I have never been elected to national office. I will do my very best for you. He's a good man.
Do you think Ford, though, made a deal with Nixon to get that position? He would pardon him?
I don't think so, but I don't know, and I hear you. And I think Ford honestly made that decision to keep to try to repair the country, to just pardon him rather than let's now have a long trial with Richard Milhous Nixon. And notice Milhouse, the name of the character on The Simpsons, that's Lisa's best friend. It's absolutely from there. Just as John Bolton's book, The Room Where It Happened, is from the musical Hamilton. I mean, we just live in a whole webwork of fabric and culture. And the older we get, the more we know about that. All right, so what happened is, and then incidentally, not only 7 of the first 10, but 8 of the first 12, because our 12th president, Zachary Taylor, not in office long, also a Virginian. And the only other, incidentally, is one-termer is, 1 year, is James Garfield. One of the great examples of iatrogenesis, death by doctors, which I can talk about when we're done if you like. Up to you. But it's an amazing story of his death, which didn't have to be. So, but looking here, we had, now take a look at this. Notice 8 years, that's 2 full terms. 8 years right afterwards, 2 full terms. 8 years right after, these are 3 Virginians. And notice they're preceded by the 2 Adamses who were one-termers, father and son. And so you see that's 24 years for 3 presidents in a row. It has happened only once before in American history. I mean, once before, not them, but us. It has happened in American history only one other time. Here's a good bar bet, and it is a fair bet. It is not 3 obscure presidents. Would anybody like to identify another trio, triumvirate, trinity of presidents who served 2 terms, followed by 2, followed by 2? All sequential, adjacent, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. Okay, what's the thing again?
What's what?
What was the question?
the question is, aside from the three that I pointed out way back, can you name another trio of presidents, Len et al. With the period after the all, AL, that served 3 consecutive terms? 2, 2, and 2. You'll win the bar bet, right?
Clinton, Bush, and Obama.
I didn't hear you.
Clinton, Bush, and Obama.
Bush and Obama.
That is correct, right. That is correct. And it's these 3 here. It's our presidents. That's what makes it fun. But the point is that if Trump wins a second term, it would be 4 in a row, and that has never happened. But the fun bet is Carl Gertz. Nice to see you, Carl.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you see, these 3, it took almost 2 centuries. You look at the dates there for it to happen again. Clinton, Clinton, Bush, Bush, and Obama, Obama. So recently, so we sort of felt, well, I mean, that's what happens. No, you have to go all the way back here for the only time it had.
Yeah.
I am going to close, but I am sticking around. How often do we get together, especially across the country? And I have a special relationship with Las Vegas in a couple of ways. Number one, Oscar Goodman, a neighborhood buddy of mine, and he was 2 years behind me at Haverford College. Oscar. So in the neighborhood.
Philadelphia attorney.
Right. Well, and you know, a Vegas attorney for criminals. And you know the famous letter that I think he had framed on his wall to Oscar Goodman.
Yeah.
Without whose offense my sentence would have been 10 years shorter. But so there's one thing. And the other connection is that my older 2 children of my 3 lived in Las Vegas. My son still does. And you are looking at the most successful breeder of world-class poker players in history. Texas Hold'em, and they happen to be Howard the Professor Lederer, you may have heard of him, and Annie Duke, at that time, back, the winningest woman in poker history. They're both my kids. I taught them. I play myself. I did happen to win the Mensa World Championship. It is the greatest game ever invented. Really, it's just great. In part because marriage is like a deck of cards. You start off with 2 hearts and a diamond, and pretty soon you want to grab a club and use a spade. And that, my friends, is what is called a quadruple homograph, meaning the spelling doesn't change. They're very difficult, but there it works. And look, anything, gee, Rich, I like that. I didn't write it down. Hey, richardhlederer@gmail.com, and tell me what you want, or I like that part of your talk, or whatever.
Show us your book the other.
I will. Well, the book, yeah, I will. Remember, that's up at the beginning. So
I thought you were going to show us one you did on presidents or something.
I will. But if you don't mind, I just want to finish up with the last statement.
Go ahead.
Historian Henry Adams, the grandson and great-grandson of presidents. No. Actually, just a minute. No, I'm going to do this another way. Sorry. When George Washington became president in 1789, other national leaders included the King of France, the Tsarina of Russia, the Emperor of China, and the Shogun of Japan. Today, no king rules France, no czar rules Russia. You might beg to differ with me. No emperor rules China, and no shogun rules Japan. But the office of President of the United States endures and prevails. And I am so pleased to be able to share this with you, and maybe because you're influential people and families, and help educate people. So now, my wife and my mixed doubles partner too, Simone Van Egger, and that's the way the real Dutch spell Van. My Dutch treat, born in Rotterdam, Dutch was her first language. Together we experienced saucy hollandaise. And I just have to be very proud and tell you, she's been about a month and a half the president of our group. And I have never seen a more natural leader. I am just so proud of her. And we're really doing things, Zooming all over the place. And I hope you'll do more and more. And I'm yours whenever needed, because I actually have some language topics I can talk about too. So they are responsible here. Now, this is the cover of one of my 3 American history books. And if any of you want to see my list, I'll be happy to send it to you. Just email me. I'll send it back. I write 3 kinds of books, language, of course. 39 of my 52 books are on language, because I have to add the 2 recent ones. I write stuff not about language, dogs, cats, teachers, aging, all of that, all on my website, verbivore.com, VERBIVORE. You just email me, I'll send you whatever you want. But you see, you all know I was the first. The second, of course, is a trick question. I beat my president, and you're thinking with what, a cane or a switch? No, he defeated John Adams. Youngest is, of course, Roosevelt, and tallest is this guy. And just to go back very, very quickly, let's see if I can do this very, very quickly, because I only had about 15 slides there. I am offering these. You'll see them advertised in the Mensa Bulletin. We're using some of this money for our scholarships, which we get from a monthly poker tournament that I run. And obviously, we're not getting the funds for it these days. But Halloween, there are 53 of this gentleman's black and whites in the interior, and the same with Christmas. You know, I'm learning dressed up to have fun. So,
and Richard mentioned to me when we were speaking this week, if there's anybody here who is associated with, or who has kids that are associated with, or something, some sort of charity.
Yes.
Okay,
sorry.
and you'd like to raise funds for the charity. Okay, he has a special deal that he'll give you on these 2 books, where you can do a fundraiser, a bulk fundraiser.
Yes.
You know, and these might be good Christmas gifts.
Oh, my God. Hey, Len, I just figure somebody, you know, gift giving is baked into Christmas more than Halloween. But a lot of people give, you know, Halloween is about 100 years old from the first celebration. So we have a centennial. But, you know, $8 on the $13 book. And I'd be happy to explain, you know, sometime why that is. I can do it with these books, but I can't. So I end up breaking even. I do the packaging, and $8 on each $13 book goes to your charity. So here I'm doing our public radio station. I am doing our literacy council. I am doing a group that provides bicycles to boys and girls in Africa for enhanced mobility. I am doing churches. I am doing rotaries and a lot more. I can't remember every one. So if I could, in this little small thing here, funny, wrong sheet. But, and remember, this is in the Mensa Bulletin too, but richardhlederer@gmail.com and verbivore.com is the site. If you were interested, I will then send you how it works, because I have to know that the order is from that group. And whether by PayPal or just through the order form, up to you. Or you just send it to my house, the check, and you have to say this is for ABC XYZ charity.
Right.
I can do this. And remember, this is obviously only good till the end of the year, because after that, you know, I have to wait another year to do this. But I think you all know the way I write, and you're going to learn a hell of a lot about the holidays and just hilarious stuff. And just to give you,
if you're interested in the details, he has something he can send to you. So if you're associated with a charity, or you know somebody who would like to do some fundraising, okay, just contact Richard directly.
Right. And I'll send you info. Len, do you want to go to some questions?
Yeah, we didn't have any questions, except I just made 2 comments. I'll read them to you. First one has nothing to do, and I think I read an article in the National Bulletin where you addressed this, but I can't remember.
Yeah, go ahead.
As a linguist, what do you think of the current push to use non-gender pronouns in speech.
Good.
Know what I
If
mean?
you don't- Yeah, if you don't mind, I just went through without, shoot, just a minute.
And I'm gonna take you
Without
over so
any
we
HIJK elemento, which is H2O, of course. Oh, so we have a few more people that I didn't see.
yeah, I put it on gallery instead of sharing.
Yeah, because I think I saw Jody at the beginning, but not after. At any rate, anybody who wants to email me on this, and yes, I did write an article called Sex and the Singular Pronoun, and that was in the February issue.
For the people
So
who are on here who aren't familiar with this ridiculous, this trend, why don't you explain it?
Okay, well, what has happened is that they is now being used as a singular rather than the tiresome and what I call sexually transmitted tedium. Each Mensa should bring his or her notebook so that he or she can take notes to achieve his or her full potential. And using the his is for everybody. A man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for. But women can't do that, is sexist and exclusionary. And what has happened is that starting in 2017, all the major dictionaries have been accepting they, them, themselves, and so on as a singular. And with a lot of blowback, of course. But I am all for it and have been on it for a long time. First, it's more graceful. Second, we do it. We standard speakers have been using they and the other cases of that pronoun forever. The cellular customer you are trying to reach is not at their station, you know. You're sitting at a table and the server comes with the food after quite a wait, puts it down. Why are they called the waiter? You're doing the waiter, ha. But notice my they there. You see, the server, singular, and I said, why are they called the waiter? And nobody blinked. I mean, not that I can tell because you're all muted, but you wouldn't blink because we've been doing it. We've been doing it forever. And, you know, language, as Heraclitus wrote, you never step in the same stream twice, river. It rushes on. You never step in the same language twice. It changes, it changes. And one day our language will be as unrecognizable as Beowulf, or at least as Chaucer, 1340 to 1400. So we do it. The majority of people all over the world, with a few exceptions, are XX chromosomes, not XY. And they includes us all. So I am all for it. And if you'd like me to send you that sex and the singular pronoun, and I mean it, hey, I'm a teacher. We're compulsive sharers. We'll send you.
It was about, what, 6 months ago, 8 months ago?
February.
Yeah, it was good. So the other one I just wrote down, and this is just for fun. What you need? I said.
No comment?
Yes, go ahead.
It's a really small comment. It meant to be funny. There's a comedian, Hannah Gadsby, and she talks very funny about they. I recommend, she's really brilliant. You know, it's several levels of funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I just want to,
What's her name, Hannah? What?
Gadsby.
So first name is a palindrome, and the second name is
There you go.
the part of the title of the book that I feel is the greatest single work of fiction, in 20th century American fiction. I consider Faulkner to be the greatest accomplishment of a whole, you know, canon. But anything else, my friends, we're not going to certainly convene in this configuration again.
So,
Any questions?
so my other comment was, you know, they say that you use a very small percentage of your brain.
Yeah.
But my question is, what percentage of your brain is still available for crap? I mean, stuff and knowledge.
I almost sued you for defecation of character there.
Are you maxed out?
First of all, that is a myth, an urban myth. It is not that we use a small part of our brain, but I just use all that I can. And what I find at 82 years old is that I am definitely, where did I leave the glasses? And, you know, did I take these pills? And wait a minute, did I do all my stretches today? But not a syllable of the language stuff that I've accumulated for decades. I haven't lost, it just keeps growing. It's that one thing through aerobics of the mind and push-ups of the brain. And let me tell you, being part of a larger entity such as Mensa is a major, major part of longevity. And yes, giving up cigarettes, that's third. Giving up booze is fourth. But you know what the top two are? And that is friends. Two kinds of friends. The friends that really have your back, that you can turn to when you're in trouble, and just friends that you're meeting with. You know, the Irish blessing, and I collect those because I collect everything. There are good ships and there are wood ships, the ships that sail the sea, but the best ships are friendships, may they always be. And we sure have it in Mensa. That's where I met my wife at the first RG in New Hampshire. And here we are. So I'm just such a pleasure.
You guys found each other through Mensa?
We're an M&M, melts on your mind. Yeah, we did. What happened was she was up there dating the president of New Hampshire Mensa. This was the first RG. I was there with my girlfriend and mixed doubles partner. I noticed that my girlfriend, with whom I'm still great friends, absolutely hated it. And I said, my God, I think I know all these people, even though my whole life, even though we just met. And that was it. We were with different people. And then so
your girlfriend went with this guy, and she came with you, right? You swapped.
His story,
you're telling
let
us
him tell it.
a lot about yourself. No, so what happened is I was asked, which is rare as a non-Mensan, to come back the next year, and I did. And certainly my girlfriend from the first, lovely, but just hated it. At any rate, and Simone came back up, but not dating. And so I see her in the audience. I go up to hospitality, and she was, you know, not really outreaching because she thought that the first woman was my wife. She knew I had 3 children, and they, you know, and this woman was the right age, a year and a half younger than I. And finally, I said, no, I'm not married. And we were engaged 6 months later. Incidentally, for you all who have stayed, my last, my final bar bet. Which person pictured here, and it looks to me like 12 if we still got, yeah, with his wife. So it's a dozen.
Yeah, 14 people, including you and me.
Yeah, and except for Lynn, and I hope Lynn is okay, because we still see the chair. There's somebody in these pictures whose child was fired on national television by a president of the United States. Which of us is that person? And I'm not making this up. Okay, I'll tell you. Ready?
Yeah.
Tis I. My daughter, Annie Duke, in 2009, Joyce, you may have seen it, you're nodding your head vertically, was on Celebrity Apprentice with Donald Trump, the second year that it was Celebrity Apprentice. As you know, they start with 16 contestants, and they, you know, winnow it down to two rather, finalists, and indeed they did. And the finalists were Annie Duke, winningest woman in poker history, that's why she was on, and Joan Rivers, alas, the late Joan Rivers, as you probably know. And among the 16, the other 14, there was the American ambassador to North Korea, Dennis Rodman, by the way, and all sorts of interesting folks. But it came down to Joan and Annie, and Simone and I were in the audience there. We were there certainly for the last day. and Donald announced Joan Rivers as the winner, but it was pretty good for Annie's career. So, and that one, incidentally, you'll see in the bulletin too. So if you've liked the bets, what you'll want to do is, go to the Mensa Bulletin. And again, you will see it, the ads for the books. I would love to save you running around like a nut, let's say for Christmas, when I can send you any number. And if you're with a charity and you order 10 at 13 a piece, guess what? $8 each goes back to your charity. That's $80 right there. So anything else where I could be of help? Any questions? Len,
Cookie, are you still there? Unmute yourself and say hello. I see her.
Well,
See her name.
Len,
There she is.
I don't.
Well, I see her name here, but she's here. Let me unmute you.
She's like me, Richard. I didn't leave earlier. I just closed off my video. Cookie just has her video down.
Yeah, but how about her voice, Joey?
So everybody, this is going to be my last rodeo for being the host of the Tuesday night Zoom thing. We haven't quite figured out who's going to take over, but it looks like somebody from California who also is has been on many of ours is going to take over and do one that's a joint one. It's Southern Nevada and Southern California, or wherever she's from. She's the can't think of her name, but Cookie said she is the. Just a second, see if I can find it here. I'm sure that I have an email from her.
Orange County.
Yeah, I think so. She's a prosecutor there.
No.
Just a second.
Oh.
Thinking about Tabby?
Hold on.
Or is that no? Desiree is
Sherry Lewis. Her name is Sherry Lewis.
God,
And
Oh,
wasn't that the puppet woman?
Orange County, Menson,
Yeah.
and etc.
she was on here earlier.
Right. So I'm going to get with her tomorrow and, see if she really wants to do it, turn the brains over to her. I volunteered to do, I did 11 of these, and
Thank you.
we're about to do some other things that I won't really be able to do this anymore. So,
So could you ask her to please send me a link?
do that again.
Could you please ask her to send me a link? Because,
Sure, I'll put you on the list. I'll make sure you're on the list.
yeah, make sure I get sent
Well,
because
how did you receive the invitation for this one?
Cookie told me 2 days ago that this was coming up. And then today she sent me 2 emails and
Okay.
one on Facebook with the actual link. All I had to do was touch it. That's why
Okay.
I got here a little early.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So do this. So I have a list going, okay, that I'll turn over.
Linear reality, baby. It's not all that there is.
Okay, send me your email address. Okay, and I will put you on the list of non-local Mensons that receive the invitation. Okay.
I'm transferring to Sacramento. Does that make me more local?
No, I wasn't doubting that you remember. What I meant was if you send me your email, I'll put you on the list to make sure you get.
I don't know how to do that.
You have.
You get it? I've had the linear part of my brain turned to jello.
Well,
There's
okay.
a doctor word for
All
it.
right,
It
I'll get
begins
it.
with N.
I'll get it from Cookie because she obviously sent something to you.
Yeah.
But I could still discuss glials. I just can't get connected to you.
Ilsa, can you type your email address in the chat on this Zoom and then he can grab it from that?
Oh, thanks. Hi.
No, she
Tell me your
doesn't
name.
type anymore. That's passe.
Oh, I can't do that anymore.
All telepathic, I can tell.
Okay, Len, we're going to turn you into a positive guy now.
Yeah,
well,
if
at any rate,
you-
hey,
seriously,
Thank you, Richard.
Elsie,
hey, listen, I'll just close with a quick toast, and I hope to see, well, all of you, but especially the lost wages Mensons at what I hope will be the RG next year. I mean, I was all set, and I actually had a different talk from this one, but I felt this one is not going to be working after November. So I thought I would do this one. I'd love to come back with the comedy act next year. I'll close with a
Yes.
toast to all of you. Why do we call it a toast? I'm glad I asked me that, because English never metaphor it didn't like. Never did. And if English has a sub-slogan, it is metaphors be with you. So a toast is a food metaphor, Thank you, Patrick. Well, you know, Mensa, where we get your jokes. It's as simple as that. And Carl,
Yes,
I can
thank
see, has
you.
been having a damn good time. Carl, you look about my age too, probably younger. Everybody is. But so it's called a toast. It is a food metaphor because back in the days of Willie Wigglestaff, nicknamed for William Shakespeare, who would get that last name because he had an ancestor, presumably in the military, who shook a spear. That's not a joke. That's one way you get those names, like Lederer for Lederhosen, leather worker, the German equivalent of Skinner and Tanner. So at any rate, people back then used to dunk their slices of cinnamon toast or something like that into their tankards of ale to improve the flavor and remove the impurities, hence toast. And just a toast to you all. Here is champagne to our real friends, real pain to our sham friends. Thank you for being real friends of American Mensa. Incidentally, coming up soon on our 60th American anniversary. Do some research. Maybe we're celebrating it here. And then next year, as I think you know, in Houston in August will be the centennial of Mensa, so to speak. Sounds like a pizza group, but and I would hope to see a lot of you there because certainly Simone and I will be there. But here's champagne to our real friends, real pain to our sham friends. Thank you for being friends of our glorious, uproarious, notorious, victorious, outrageous, courageous, contagious, stupendous, tremendous, end over endless that we call the English language. I love you all.
Okay.
Hope to hear from some of you, really. Bye.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We really appreciate it.
You're very outreach.
All right. I'll send you a copy of this recording.
And thank you, Len. You did a wonderful job for us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Richard. This was wonderful.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Len. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Absolutely fun.
Night, Cookie.
Learning dressed up to have fun. And Cookie, I guess you're there. I haven't heard you or seen you, but I did get your email. So I'm sure you've been there.
Well,
Hope
she
you
logged
enjoyed
on
it.
and
She worked so hard, and I had just a great time with her way back with your Las Vegas AG. Just she was terrific.
Thanks,
Okay.
Richard.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jody. Very outreaching, and the rest of you, of course. Wonderful.